Karma here with your Venus in Taurus cheat codes. If you are here, you recognize that we are astrologically influenced by the push and tug of the planets and stars. With the understanding of how this influences us in life, we can better navigate life's obstacles. So welcome to the club, and let's take an overall look at what happens while Venus is in Taurus. Venus enters Taurus on June 6th and will be in Taurus until July 4th. Taurus energy has heavy emphasis on patience, practicality, and resourcefulness, and has a connection to the material world. Venus represents attraction, love, relationships, art, beauty, harmony, and abundance. This is a period of time where we may be more heavily influenced or directed towards pleasure, fun, and peace, and also where sensory experiences may feel a little more heightened. This is a period where we are looking for comfort, luxury, and can fall victim to laziness, procrastination, and inflexibility. With the aspects happening while Venus is in Taurus, there are some changes that we're going to experience that help us get more developed into our outer planet transitions. We have several transitions that have happened and will happen over the next year. First and foremost, Pluto transitioned to Aquarius at the end of 2024 and will be there until 2044. Neptune transitioned into Aries at the end of March 2025 and will be there until 2043. Uranus will transition to Gemini right after Venus transitions to Gemini on July 7th and will be there until 2032. Saturn transitioned to Aries at the end of May and will go back to Pisces for a brief period of time, then re-enter Aries until April of 2028. Jupiter will transition to Cancer on June 9th and will be there until June 2026. There is a major life shift happening for everyone, and Venus in Taurus helps lead us to patience, abundance, and peace. The things that pop into or out of our life as Venus makes her way through Taurus, whether it feels good or bad, are things that will help align us to a place of peace and comfort. If you are actively putting your intentions towards attaining this energy, then Venus in Taurus should be a pretty pleasant experience for you. But if you are actively ignoring the chaos in your life and you're not aligned, Venus in Taurus may feel a little funky because the energy will be meant to put you into alignment. Sometimes we like to take life by the reins and direct where it is that we're going. And sometimes that ultimately has us navigating through life by way of our ego. But here's the thing, we all have guides, and those guides are looking to lead us to our highest and greatest good. If we allow ourselves to let go of the reins and allow our spirit guides to align us with what it is that we are trying to manifest for ourselves, then we find ourselves in a much more pleasant energy. In tarot, the Empress represents Venus. So as Venus makes her way through Taurus, the best plan of action is to nourish the things that fall in your lap and be at peace with everything else. So now we're going to jump into the individual signs, and the way that you would interpret this is by your rising sign. But you will also have the capacity to look at this from the perspective of your sun and your moon as well. If you look at this from the perspective of your rising sign, that is the perspective that is most accurate because it describes where this energy will pop up in your life. If you're looking at this from the stance of your sun sign, the energy will be expressed by way of your focus, your ego, and your attitude. And if you're looking at this from the stance of your moon sign, the energy will be more revolved around your emotions, your instincts, and your intuition. So with that, let's jump into the signs. I will bookmark this video so that you can jump to whichever sign you need to jump to. Aries, on June 6th, Venus will be entering your second house. So this energy will center around your relationships, material values, and the patience you have to see things through to fruition. On June 9th, Venus will create a square to Pluto in your 11th house. You may be pushed to change what you view as valuable, And this is a moment that can trigger you out of old value systems. A relationship or aspiration may not hold as much value as you once thought it could or once thought it did. In this moment, you will need to work on the value you put on people or things. This could also pop up as a sudden change that seems like it diminishes the value of a relationship or a situation. You may also be feeling emotional and leaning towards dramatic action and intense feelings. Right now, patience is a virtue. Don't act impulsively. In this moment, your best bet is try to explore why it is that you feel triggered. Separate your emotions from your logic and try to understand why the triggers in this moment impact you on an internal level. On June 11th, Venus will be sextile to Mercury in Cancer. Now, this can be a moment of comfort for you. Comfortable conversations and places that feel safe and homely. In this moment, you may feel a high sense of security, and you're empowered to lean into that. This is also a pretty good time to lean into your relationship with your mother or strengthen it. This also may be a good moment for you to buy property or spend valuable time with your family. Opportunities are going to arise in this aspect that strengthen your inner security. This can also be an opportunity to help heal the trigger that you felt on June 9th as well. On July 4th, Venus will be in conjunction with Uranus in your second house. In this moment, you may experience a sudden change or a surprise within a relationship, lending and borrowing, or your possessions. For everyone, this will be different based on the decisions that you've made. As I've stated before, all of the outer planets are shifting into new signs. So this change will be to benefit your overall shift within that energy. This Venus and Uranus conjunction happens in the final moments that both Venus and Uranus will be in Taurus. Venus will transition to Gemini later on in the day on the 4th, and then Uranus will transition to Gemini on the 7th. This really will be the last shebang, and this energy might be related to karma because both planets will be in the last decan of Taurus, which is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn rules karma. If your intention and choices have been to navigate yourself to your highest and greatest good, this is something that you can probably view as a positive change. But if you've been holding on to stale energy, this sudden change may be something that moves or declutters chaos from your life, whether you're ready or not. Life is about choices. Try to make the right ones. Taurus, Venus will be transitioning to your first house on June 6th. So this energy is going to revolve around how you value yourself or how people value you based on your personality. The energy also may revolve around the speed in which you cycle through things as well. So on June 9th, there's a square to Pluto in Aquarius in your 10th house. So you can see a sudden change around career, reputation, achievement, or the influence that you have. This change may not feel so great because it'll be sudden and it'll go very quick, and it may even feel like it goes against what it is that you've been working for. You may be concerned about the security of this commitment and whether it's something that's going to fall through. But don't worry, this is just a momentary hiccup. You're going to feel triggered in this moment, but your best bet is to take a deep breath and pivot, because what is needed right now is original thought and communication. The actions right now could actually impact the energy that you see pop up on the 4th when there's a conjunction between Taurus and Uranus. So think of this moment as you planting a seed for later. On June 11th, Taurus will be sextile to Mercury in Cancer in your 3rd house. This is an opportunity for you to express yourself and maybe even display your new way of thinking or original thought. There is something that is slowly cooking in the background or something that seems to appear out of nowhere. It'll be one or the other because this is linked to Saturn and Aries energy. So this is something that you have been working on for a while, or this is the initiation of something that you will be working on for a while in the future. Either way, this is an opportunity for you to change your way of thinking and explore your emotions on a deeper level. On the same day, the sun and the moon will be in direct opposition in Gemini, and Sagittarius, which will be in your 2nd and 8th house. Try to keep your emotions separate from your perception in the realm of financial comfort, because in this moment you may be experiencing a lot of thoughts crossing your mind and may feel a little flighty because of your emotions. I wouldn't think of whatever pops up in reality as a negative thing. It can actually turn out to be quite positive. On the 4th of July, Venus and Uranus will be in conjunction in your 1st house. You may see a change in your focus on career, achievement, reputation, influence, and your desires within that realm. Depending on how you handle that situation, this could provide you a positive outlook on your path forward. Or this can be a lesson around impulsive movements and a moment for you to come back and fix some energy that popped up because of impulsivity. This is a moment where your perspective, focus, or attitude may change to a more positive outlook if you allow it. All of the outer planets are shifting to different signs within this year, and this change will be to benefit your overall life shift. This will be both Venus and Uranus's final shebang in Taurus, because Venus will move on to Gemini later on in the day on July 4th, and Uranus will move on to Gemini on July 7th. This may even be related to like some karmic energy as well, because this will happen in the 3rd decan of Taurus, which is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn rules karma. If you've been making the right choices and intentional about your forward movement towards your highest and greatest good, you can see this energy as a positive influence. But if you have been lingering and stagnant, chaotic energy, you probably will be surprised at what is cleared out of your life, because there needs to be room made for abundance and peace. So those things that don't really align with that energy gotta go. It's really important for you to make the decisions that you need to make for yourself. Gemini, on June 6th, Venus will make her way into your 12th house. Now, this transit may have a heavy impact on you, because this is going to like explore the depths of your soul. And I know that that is kind of dramatic, but the 12th house is like a very interpersonal house. It's the hidden things inside of you. It's also your subconscious and your soul. On June 9th, there's a square from Venus to Pluto in Aquarius in your 9th house. There could be a sudden change around travel, higher education, spirituality, religion, or a second life partner. This change may not necessarily feel so great, because it's going to feel like a very quick shift, and it's going to be kind of surprising and goes against what it is that you feel that you've been working to build. And in this moment, you may feel concerned about the security of whether or not this thing is going to fall through. But my advice is to just take a deep breath and pivot, because the goal right now really is to work on your impulsive behaviors around achieving your goals. So this may require a deep, nurturing conversation versus an impulsive action. What is needed right now is original thought and or communication. And think of this moment as you planting a seed for July 4th, when Uranus and Venus are in conjunction. As Venus makes her way through Taurus and meets Uranus, you're going to see like the explosion of life from the decision that you make in this particular moment. So make the right choice. On June 11th, Venus will be sextile to Mercury in Cancer in your 2nd house. Now, this is an energy that you may need to be careful about. With Venus in your 12th house sextile to Mercury in your 2nd house, there could be an emphasis here on leaning on substances to feel better or improve your sensory experiences. This also may be related to your friends group and possible influence towards something that is not beneficial to you. So in this moment, you're really going to need to lean on your sense of self and try to lean less heavily into exploration of emotion by way of unhealthy habits, because you're in a moment where you could possibly form a long-term connection with these types of behaviors. So it's very imperative that you're self-aware in these moments and that you make the best choices for yourself. Your intuition and your gut feeling will direct you in the right direction if you allow it to. Just be sure not to fall victim to your bad habits. On July 4th, Venus will be in conjunction with Uranus in your 12th house. This energy focuses around building on your desires, your dreams, your illusions, your delusions, okay? Your self-sabotage. As I said before, the 12th house represents your soul and your subconscious. So this is a very interpersonal and spiritual experience for you. And while all of the outer planets are shifting into new signs, everyone is having a shift in life circumstances, okay? So we are in the moments of closing old chapters and starting new ones. And it's very important here, again, for you to be self-aware. As Venus and Uranus go into a conjunction in your 12th house, they are in the final moments in Taurus, okay? So this is like the last shebang, because Venus will transition to Gemini later on in the day on July 4th, and Uranus will transition to Gemini on the 7th. So overall, if you've been making the right choices for yourself, like I've been telling all of the other signs, to put your best foot forward and lead yourself to your highest and greatest good, this energy should feel relatively great, okay? It should feel luxurious, okay? It should feel comfortable. It should feel abundant. But if you have been lingering in chaotic energy, this is not going to feel good. Okay, it's not going to feel good, okay? Because what is going to happen is the energy in your life is going to be shifted and cleared. The chaos gots to go so that there is room for abundance, okay? There is room for peace and tranquility, okay? So again, life is always about the choices that we make. Make the right one. Cancer, Venus will be making her way to your 11th house of Taurus. This is going to explore the depths of your social life, your friendships, your community, your hopes, wishes, and dreams, and how your nurturing and perceptive ways can impact that. On June 9th, Venus will create a square to Pluto in Aquarius in your 8th house. There could be a sudden change around your friends groups, your social groups, your community, wealth, including your stocks, or your benefits at work. This may not feel the greatest because it's going to be a sudden change, and it'll feel a bit surprising. In this moment, you may be concerned about this commitment or whether it'll fall through. And in this moment as well, there's opposition between the moon in Scorpio and Uranus in Taurus. So this may evoke some sort of deep emotional reaction for you. You may even get some sort of communication that might bruise your ego a little bit. You will feel triggered in this moment, but your best bet is to take a deep breath and pivot, because what is needed right now is original thought and or communication and not impulsive action. So in this moment, the energy that pops up may actually reappear on July 4th when Venus is in conjunction with Uranus. So think of your actions in this moment as little seeds that you are planting as Venus makes her way through Taurus and meets Uranus at the tail end of Taurus. This is really about karma. The effort you put out and the results you see because of the effort you put out. On June 11th, Venus will be sextile to Mercury in Cancer in your 1st house. This is an opportunity for fun times with friends or within your social groups. This also may be a good time for you to invest in your future. You may be feeling pulled towards exploration of creating new healthy habits that will support your dreams in the future. In this moment, the support is there, but it may be a little confusing to you because it'll be unclear. Overall, Cancer, Venus is creating opportunities for you to plant seeds for your future abundance. So pay attention to your intuitive urges and where your focus may be pulled, because this may be the direction you find yourself taking as Venus makes her way through Taurus. On July 4th, Venus will be in conjunction with Uranus in your 11th house. So I see more sudden changes around your community, your friendships, wealth, hopes, and wishes. With Pluto in your 8th house, I do see some sort of transition or transformation or the need to leave some sort of relationship behind. This will be for the overall benefit of your ambitions. And this also may revolve around your debt, your inheritance, and or karma. But overall, what you find yourself needing to leave behind is honestly something that you don't need to go forward. Because all of the outer planets are shifting signs this year. So everyone is in a very large life era shift. Okay, so the energy that we see popping up in this moment is to better support us in this new chapter that we are starting. And it's also to end the old chapter. So try not to hold on to stale energy. With this Venus and Uranus conjunction, these are the final moments that both of those planets are in Taurus, because Venus will transition to Gemini later on in the day on the 4th, and Uranus will transition to Gemini on July 7th. And this energy may have heavy emphasis on karma because this is happening in the last decan of Taurus, which is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn rules karma. So, as I've been telling all of the other signs, if you have been making the right choices, putting one foot in front of the other with the intention of getting to your highest and greatest good, Venus in Taurus will be relatively pleasant. However, if you have been holding on to stagnant, stale, chaotic energy, it might not feel so good. Okay, it's not going to feel that great. Because what's going to happen is the energy is going to get cleared, right? So that there is room for abundance and there is room for true peace. So if you got chaos lingering around you, I think it might be easier for you to make the choice to move on yourself before you're triggered into chaos and you're forced to move on from it anyway. Life is all about choices, y'all. Make the right ones. Leo, Venus is transitioning to Taurus in your 10th house. This is going to explore the energy around your reputation, ambitions, and overall life direction. And it's really going to be about how your creativity and charm can impact that. Your relationships may make a special appearance in this energy as well. On June 9th, Venus is square to Pluto in Aquarius in your 7th house. So you can see a sudden change around your long-term relationships, your commitments, your deep bonds, your contracts, or legal matters. Now, this may not feel so great because it may be an unexpected change of events. And you may be concerned about this energy because it may feel as though this is something that's going to fall through for you. There's opposition between the moon in Scorpio in your 4th house and Uranus in your 10th house. So this change can evoke a deep emotional reaction or trigger around your internal security. But don't worry, because in the grand scheme of things, this is just really like a momentary hiccup. You'll feel triggered, but it's best that you just take a deep breath and pivot, because what's required in this moment is original thought and communication. Now, in this moment, your reaction can impact the energy that you see pop up when Venus is in conjunction with Uranus later on in the month on the 4th of July. So think of what you do right now as like a little seed that you're planting that will appear in reality once Venus makes her way to Uranus. On June 11th, Venus will be sextile to Mercury in your 12th house. You may see opportunities arise around your career, your ambitions, or your goals. And these are things that are kind of like things of your dreams. Or they could be opportunities that arise that maybe are surprising to you because you were under some illusion that they were not coming to you in the first place. And in this moment, you may feel a little uncertain on whether or not that's the direction that you actually want to take. And you could honestly even feel yourself being pulled and tugged into a different direction. You may even find yourself in a position where your perspective is changing on what it is that you actually want for yourself. Just know that in this moment, you are meant to be feeling these things. With Pluto in your 7th house, there is really an overall change and transition on what it is that you commit yourself to. So now is the perfect time to explore your options, but just be sure not to be impulsive about it and make sure that every action is thoroughly planned and thought through. On July 4th, Venus will be in conjunction with Uranus in Taurus. So this can mean a sudden change around your ambitions, your goals, your business, your career, the reputation you have, the influence that you have, or your overall life direction. And this can be supported by the presentation of some sort of long-term contract, long-term relationship, or deep bond. This may even have energy around travel or a second life partner, higher education, or a change in worldview. These changes are overall to support all of the outer planet shift in signs that are happening this year. We are all going through life era changes because the outer planets, which stay in their signs for several years, are all shifting almost at the same time. So the changes that you're seeing in this moment are really to be beneficial for you in your future. This will be both Venus and Uranus's final moments in Taurus. Venus will transition to Gemini later on July 4th, and Uranus will transition to Gemini on July 7th. So this is kind of like the last shebang in Taurus. So essentially what I've been saying is if we are making the correct steps, if we are taking the steps that we need to take to go towards our highest and greatest good, this energy is not going to feel too bad. It's actually going to feel quite good, right? But if we are finding ourselves meddling in chaos or meddling in things that we need to let go of, and restrictive energy, we might find ourselves being surprised and triggered and upset in these moments, because what's happening is there is a clearing of energy to make way for abundance and peace and stability. So if you find yourself lingering in chaotic things, you won't linger there anymore because you're going to be triggered out of them. You see how that works? It's all about alignment. So, and alignment is really all about your choices. So just make sure you're making the best ones, okay? Okay. Virgo, Venus will be making her way into your 9th house. So this is going to explore energy around travel, higher education, spirituality, religion, and the systems that you have in place for these things to bring you peace. On June 9th, Venus will be square to Pluto in Aquarius in your 6th house. So there could be a sudden change around higher education, disrupted routines, pets, and or sickness. Now, this may not necessarily feel so good because it's going to be a quick and sudden change or a surprising change to you. And it may feel like it's going against what it is that you have been working on and the direction you expect it to take. And in this moment, you may find yourself being concerned about the future outlook of what's going on. However, in this exact moment, there's a trine that's happening between the moon in Sagittarius and Saturn in Aries. This change could evoke some sort of deep emotional connection to taking action so that you feel more secure. You may feel triggered in this moment, but your best bet is to take a deep breath, be calm, and think through your actions. Because what is needed right now in this moment is original thought and or communication. Taking action in this moment could be beneficial for you, but just make sure that you think through what it is that you are doing. Because this will affect the energy that pops up on July 4th when Venus meets Uranus in the later part of Taurus. So think of your actions in this moment or your communication in this moment as like a seed planted for later that will sprout as Venus makes her way through Taurus. On June 11th, Venus will be sextile to Mercury in Cancer in your 11th house. And honestly, this may be energy around solutions for the energy that popped up on June 9th. I see opportunities around social expansion and the nurturing of your friends group. So communicating with your friends group in this moment could be beneficial for you. But your best bet is to follow your intuition towards your solution. Again, there is a heavy emphasis to refrain from impulsive actions in this moment. Instead, pay attention to where your emotions and your mind are pulling you. This will have a heavy emphasis on your community and sudden blessings. On July 4th, Venus has a conjunction with Uranus in Taurus. This energy revolves around sudden changes in your travel, higher education, spirituality, religion, or second life partner. This is something that will highlight your habits and create opportunities for new habits that will support longevity. Now, this energy speaks to possibly needing to leave something or someone behind, resentment, secrecy, or even karma. But this change is meant to impact and emotionally trigger you into wanting to change your habits and the things that you do on a consistent basis. All of the outer planets are shifting into new signs in this year, and it is very impactful for everybody. We all see a close of a chapter and the start of a new one. So the changes that we see here are to benefit our overall life shift. With Venus and Uranus having this conjunction, these are the final moments for both Venus and Uranus, because Venus will be making her way to Gemini later on in the day on the 4th, and Uranus will be transitioning into Gemini on July 7th. So the energy that you see here is like a final shebang in that energy. And really what's happening in this moment is, if you are making the correct choices for yourself, the right choices, your intention is to go towards your highest and greatest good, and you are making decisions around that energy, this can actually be very pleasant experiences for you. However, if you are not, okay, if you are lingering in chaos, if you are holding on to things that you should have been left behind, this moment can be quite triggering for you, okay? Because what's happening in this moment is there is a clearing of energy so that we are more aligned with our highest and greatest good. Okay, sometimes we try to hold on to the reins of life. We all have spirit guides. We all have guides that lead us or are trying to lead us to our highest and greatest good. But we are so busy trying to hold on to the things that we don't need to hold on to that we get jarred out of that energy. And that's when life starts to feel a little funky and weird. And why is this happening to me? So really, just as long as you are making the choices for yourself, for your highest and greatest good, again, this is going to feel great. If you're not, the energy is going to be cleared regardless. And if you clutching on to that energy for dear life, your hands are going to be pried off of it. Okay, so make the right choices, please. Libra, Venus will be transitioning to your 8th house in Taurus. So this energy will focus around material gain, shared resources, inheritance, and the result of your diplomatic ways or lack thereof. On June 9th, Venus will create a square to Pluto in Aquarius in your 5th house. There could be a sudden change around shared wealth, inheritance, karma, contracts, and the joy and creativity you feel around these things. This change may not feel so great because it'll be sudden and quick and maybe surprising for you. And it may feel like you're going in a different direction than what you anticipated. So in this moment, you may find yourself concerned about a future outlook. However, there will be a trine between the moon and Saturn in your 3rd and 7th house. So this change can evoke a deep emotion on taking action around your long-term commitments or your deep bonds. You may feel triggered in this moment, but your best bet is to take a deep breath and think through your actions. Because what's needed right now is original thought and or communication. And taking action could actually be beneficial in this moment. Just make sure that it's action backed with a purpose and a plan. The action or the energy that you contribute right now has the possibility of popping back up on July 4th when Venus makes her way through Taurus and meets Uranus. Think of this as like a little seed that you're planting that will sprout with life once Venus makes her way through Taurus and meets Uranus. On June 11th, Venus will be sextile to Mercury in Cancer in your 10th house. With Venus in your 8th house and Mercury in your 10th house, you can see opportunities arise around career, reputation, business, life direction, the influence you have. And these opportunities are to help you explore creativity around your ambitions and your goals and what you want to commit to in the long term. There's a heavy emphasis around creating things that bring joy and abundance instead of pure responsibility. In this moment, you may feel emotions arise around exploration into some sort of investment, whether that's in your community or your friends group. You are definitely empowered to explore those intuitive urges. On July 4th, Venus and Uranus will make a conjunction in the 29th degree of Taurus in your 8th house. This is basically both of their last shebangs in Taurus. Okay, because both Venus and Uranus will be making their way into Gemini shortly after. Venus will be making her way into Gemini on July 4th, and Uranus will be making its way into Gemini on July 7th. So this conjunction speaks of sudden changes around, a transition, death, inheritances, shared money, karma, and pretty much things that we need to leave behind. This could look like the end of a relationship or the start of a new one, because the 8th house also represents transformation and regeneration. Pluto has entered your 5th house of Aquarius, which revolves around transformation and original thought within creativity, entertainment, entrepreneurship, and love affairs. For some, this may even mean a positive pregnancy test. Overall, this energy is heavily reflected in some sort of transition that is already happening in your life. The change that will happen on the 4th or even like the 3rd is something that is supposed to help lead you to abundance. All of the outer planets are making their way into another sign this year. So all of us are having some pretty heavy life shifts, meaning one chapter is closing and another is starting. So for some of us, this can be pretty confusing because you don't know what's staying and what's going, who's coming in and who's going out. But all that you can really focus on is putting one foot in front of the other and putting your intention to go towards your highest and greatest good. If we're doing that, then Venus and Taurus should be relatively fruitful. Okay, it should feel pleasant. Now, if you have some chaos in your life, or you have things that you just trying to hold on to forever, and they not abundant at all, they do not bring you peace. These changes, these sudden changes, right, are moments to remove that energy from your life. Okay, so if you are holding on to stagnant energy, holding on to things that no longer belong in your life, this can be unpleasant for you. Okay, life is all about choices. Just make sure you are making the right ones, and your intention is for your highest and greatest good, and your intention is to put out good so that you can get it in return. Okay, choices. Scorpio, on June 6th, Venus will be making her way into your 7th house. So this energy will revolve around long-term relationships, contracts, your deep bonds, and your willingness to be flexible and malleable. On June 9th, Venus will create a square to Pluto in Aquarius in your 4th house. And there could be a sudden change around your long-term relationships, your commitments, and the security that you feel within them. In this moment, you could find yourself concerned about your future outlook. However, there is a sextile between the moon and Sagittarius in your 2nd house and Pluto in Aquarius in your 4th house. So this change can evoke some sort of deep emotion around whether the security of something is worth staying and experiencing, or whether you need to just go on and find something different. You will feel triggered in this moment, but your best bet is to take a deep breath and think things through. Think through your actions, because what's needed right now is original thought and or communication. There is something that is going to be presented in this moment, and taking action can be beneficial just as long as it's backed with a plan and a purpose. And honestly, this will affect what is kind of presented on the 4th when Venus makes her way through Taurus and meets Uranus at 29 degrees of Taurus. So think of this moment as a way for you to plant a little seed that will sprout as Venus makes her way through Taurus. On June 11th, Venus will be sextile to Mercury in Cancer in your 9th house. In this moment, you may be experiencing opportunities around long-term commitments and deepening your connection within those. This could be the appearance of a second life partner or moments for travel. This could also urge you to get back into school and higher education. These opportunities are to help support Jupiter as Jupiter enters Cancer in your 9th house. You may feel a jolt of intuitive urges or spiritual gifts, and you may even be exploring a way on how to make businesses out of these energies. But in this moment, there should really be a concentration on developing the connection to your gifts. Do pay attention to your urges though, because these things will come back and visit you in the future. These will be future opportunities for you. On July 4th, Venus will make her way towards Uranus and create a conjunction in your 7th house. So expect surprising changes around your deep bonds, relationships, and commitments. You may see opportunities arise here to focus more on your internal security within these connections and the habits that you formed. Pluto is in Aquarius in your 4th house, so these opportunities will be to support a transformation in your overall sense of security. The energy around this may be around your inner child and the triggers that you have, and as a result, the habits that you formed to protect yourself. For Scorpio, this is a moment of introspection and an opportunity to understand yourself on a more intrinsic level. All of the outer planets are shifting into different signs this year, so all of us are experiencing some sort of life shift in some capacity in our lives. The changes that you see as these planets are shifting and moving through these signs are really to benefit your overall long-term shift into a new chapter of your life. This Venus and Uranus conjunction in the last degree of Taurus is the final shebang before both Venus and Uranus move to Gemini. Venus will move to Gemini later in the day on July 4th, and Uranus will move to Gemini on July 7th. So the energy that you're experiencing in this moment is to help clear the energy for the next step as both Venus and Uranus transitions. So hopefully everyone is putting their best foot forward and trying to take steps towards their highest and greatest good. All right. If you are, then these moments can feel pretty pleasant and confirming to you. But if you are into that stale, chaotic energy, baby, oh no. Okay, these moments are going to feel uncomfortable because what's happening and what's going to happen is that stale energy is going to be ripped from your grasp. It's time to move on, right? It's time to clear that energy for new and abundant things. Okay, so hopefully you're watching this video before all of this happens and you choose to let go of stale energy and keep an open mind, okay? Life is all about choices. Make the right ones. Sagittarius, on June 6th, Venus will be making her way into your 6th house. So this will revolve around your daily life, your habits, and your willingness to stick to something specific. On June 9th, Venus will create a square to Pluto in Aquarius in your 3rd house. So you can see a sudden change around your perspective or focus on your daily routines and healthy habits. You may even see a sudden change if you have a pet. In this moment, you may find yourself wanting to switch things up and try something new. With this sextile between the moon in Sagittarius and Pluto in Aquarius, you may find yourself trying to discover new ways to keep things fresh, or there will be a need to do so. In this moment, you might feel like things are a little stale and may be eager to take action to create something new. But in this moment, the answer may actually be to refresh your habits and your routines instead of completely scrapping them. Be careful of impulsive behaviors in this moment. You're supported to switch things up, but make sure you're thoroughly thinking things through and have a plan and purpose. However, it is pretty important to follow your intuition at the moment. There is something that will be presented to you, and taking action could be beneficial, but just make sure the action, again, is backed with a plan and purpose. This energy has the capability to affect what is presented to you on July 4th, when Venus meets Uranus in the last degree of Taurus. So think of this moment as you planting a seed for Venus to kind of work through as she makes her way through Taurus and meets Uranus. On June 11th, Venus will create a sextile to Mercury in Cancer in your 8th house. And there is an emphasis of transitioning away from habits that don't support your overall health. So that means transitioning away from systems that you have in place that don't support abundance, but instead pivot towards things that pour into your overall wellness and routines. In this moment, you may even feel slightly pulled away from that. So pay attention to the things that you're struggling with. These are the things you're going to need to concentrate on as Venus makes her way through Taurus. This could also revolve around your communication and the way you communicate, or even your perception. In this moment, overall, you are empowered to go toward things that make you feel good and nourish your health. On July 4th, Venus will meet Uranus in the last degree of Taurus in your 6th house. So this represents sudden change around, again, your routines and your habits. This could also present sudden changes around work, around your health, around your pets. As Pluto entered your 3rd house of Aquarius, overall, there's a transformation that's happening around your perspective and your focus. You may be concentrating on entrepreneurship, your dating life, or overall just trying to have more fun in life in general. So the change that happens on the 4th and maybe even the 3rd for you is something to highlight habits that are stale and outdated within your energy, and also highlight habits that are beneficial for your forward movement. For all of us, the outer planets are transitioning into a different sign this year. So all of us are having life shifts in some point in our lives, okay? Everyone is having a close of a chapter and the start of a new one. So this Venus and Taurus energy is to help support that. With Venus and Uranus in their final moments of Taurus, you can think of the energy on the 4th as the last shebang in Taurus, because Venus will be moving to Gemini later on in the day on the 4th, and Uranus will be moving to Gemini on the 7th of July. So if you have been making the right choices for yourself, if you have been concentrating on putting one foot in front of the other and trying to get to your highest and greatest good, this energy for you will feel relatively good. Okay, you might feel abundance and comfortability. Okay, but if you are holding on to stale and outdated habits, put your seatbelt on, because things about to get stirred up for you. Overall, the Taurus energy is meant to provide us with peace and abundance. So if there are things that exist in your life right now that don't provide that, please understand that you are going to be guided away from that, whether you like it or not. So hopefully you're seeing this video before we get to the 4th. And you can at least choose to make some better choices for yourself if you are not already. Because again, life is about choices. Make the right ones. Capricorn, on June 6th, Venus will be making her way into your 5th house of Taurus. So this will revolve around your creativity, self-expression, pleasure, and your willingness to take a beat for yourself and enjoy some short-term fun. On June 9th, Venus will create a square to Pluto in your 2nd house. So you may see a sudden change in your dating life, creativity, entrepreneurship, hobbies, or your intimate life. In this moment, you may be feeling like taking action to create internal security is best for you. Just make sure you're not leaning into fear and being impulsive because of it. This energy for Capricorn speaks of impulsive behaviors and potentially destroying something that has been worked on for a while because of fear and self-sabotage. In this moment, the solution may be to nourish a connection or walk away from one. But it is not the best time to act because impulsive behaviors are not really supported in this moment. So in this moment, there is a true need for you to really feel your way through this energy and use your intuitive urges to guide you. On June 11th, Venus will be sextile to Mercury in Cancer in your 7th house. With Venus in your 5th house, you may find yourself in the midst of creating a deep bond with someone. This could be a relationship, this could be a marriage, this could be a business contract. With Pluto in your 2nd house of Aquarius, this is going to be something that is related to upgrading your material possessions or resources. And on this day, the moon will be in opposition to Jupiter in your 1st and 7th house. So there's emphasis here on honing your sights on some sort of ambition. And ultimately, this will be something that is beneficial for you. Just be sure not to act impulsively in this moment because impulsive actions are not supported at all. On the 4th of July, Venus will create a conjunction with Uranus in the last degree of Taurus in your 5th house. So this speaks of sudden changes around self-expression, entertainment, and your romantic life. As Pluto is making its way through your 2nd house, there's a transformation happening around what you view as valuable. And in this moment, that focus can be around home, sense of security, family, and your upbringing. You may be seeing changes around your finances, possessions, and even your home. For some, this could even be the welcoming of a child. For all of us, though, the outer planets are all shifting signs this year. So all of us are in the midst of chapter changes, the close of one chapter and the start of a new. And with Venus and Uranus about to transition into Gemini on the 4th and the 7th, this is going to be like a last shebang on the 4th of July. So if you have been practicing making good choices for yourself, putting one foot in front of the other with intention to get to your highest and greatest good, there's heavy emphasis in this last decan of Taurus, which is ruled by Saturn, which rules karma, right? And that is really around the efforts that you put in and the results that you get back, right? So there is an emphasis here of, being rewarded for the work that you are putting in. Or if you are holding on to stale energy and you're not letting go of things that no longer bring abundance to you or peace, this moment can feel like chaotic to you because this is going to be the leaving of energy that does not suit that anymore, right? So this is why we have to make choices when things prove to be stale. It's time to move on. We don't need to hold on to it, right? Because if we don't, then we're forced into that. We're forced to see the things that we don't like, and we're forced to understand how this energy no longer works for us. So again, if you're making your right choices, this is going to be pleasant for you. And if you are holding on to things that don't belong, this is going to be a little traumatic. Okay, so hopefully you're watching this video before all of these dates happen so you can maybe try to, continue to or start to put one foot in front of the other and make the hard choices for yourself before they are made for you. You feel me? Okay, so life is all about choices. Make the right ones. Aquarius, Venus will be making her way into your 4th house of Taurus on June 6th. So this energy may revolve around your sense of security, family, upbringing, past, or changes within that. This may be a time of difficult or sudden changes. And in this moment, you may be experiencing a change within your personality or identity because Pluto is in your 1st house of Aquarius. So the things that pop up while Venus is in Taurus are things to adjust self-worth and value. On June 9th, Venus will create a square with Pluto in Aquarius in your 1st house. So you can feel a pretty significant pull to pay attention to the security in your inner world. This may be linked to your home life, childhood, mother, or past. And in this moment, you may be feeling a little triggered or thinking about your habits within your emotional connections and leaning towards change. This may even relate to your friends group, social groups, and overall how you present yourself to the world. In this moment, there is a need to plan and feel your way through this. Impulsive actions are not supported because they will kind of backfire on you. With Pluto in your first house, there is an overall intrinsic change to what you are focusing on, your ego and purpose. The things you are feeling in this moment are meant to spark thoughts around where it is you want to go and how it is you want to feel. Pay attention to your emotions, but keep a separation between logic and emotion. Your main goal in this moment is to pay attention to your emotions and the habits that stand out to you. On June 11th, Venus will be sextile to Mercury in Cancer in your 6th house. With Venus sitting in your 4th house, you may find it difficult to change your perspective around habits and routines that bring you internal security. You may see opportunities in this moment that pop up to encourage you to pour more into yourself and your own healing. And you may be leaning pretty heavily in fear, illusion, or delusion. Right now, there's a T-square happening between your 3rd, your 12th, and your 6th house, which is a complicated type of energy. You can feel pulled in many different directions. But there's a need for you to focus on energy that pulls you in a direction that feels good. So this may require you to sit still and feel, not act. Instead, observe to better understand which direction you should take. Again, the emphasis here should be to pour energy into things and habits that support your inner security and abundance. On July 4th, Venus will create a conjunction with Uranus in your 4th house. This energy can revolve around a sudden change within your home, sense of security, family, or upbringing. You may feel like private things are put on display. With Pluto sitting in your 1st house, you are having a transformation of self, identity, purpose, ego, and/or attitude. So the energy that pops up in this moment are to support lessons around that. You may find your overall perspective and focus changing and shifting as this energy flows into your life. For all of us, the outer planets are shifting into different signs, so we are all going through some sort of change that impacts us deeply. Okay, a lot of us, all of us, are going from one chapter to another in some area of our life. With Venus and Uranus in the final degree of Taurus and having this conjunction, you could think of this 4th of July energy as like a final shebang. Okay, if you have been taking the steps towards abundance, if you have been intentionally trying to get to your highest and greatest good, this energy is going to feel good to you. But if you have been holding on to stale energy and participating in chaos and holding on to people, things, places, and all the things that don't belong in your life anymore, this is going to be a little bit jarring for you because, again, the energy is going to be removed regardless, right? If it's time to go, it's time to go. So hopefully you're watching this video before all of these dates come. So this is your forewarning. Okay, please make the right choices for yourself. Okay, or get jarred into reality and get jarred into your next chapter versus taking steps into the next chapter. Life is about choices. Make the right one. Pisces, Venus will be making her way into your 3rd house on June 6th. So this energy will revolve around communication, perception, short distance travel, and your values within that realm of life. On June 9th, Venus will create a square to Aquarius in your 12th house. In this moment, you may find yourself in your head thinking about what it is that you want out of life. You may be feeling a bit secluded and hoping that someone may come and save you from this. But the energy that you're feeling in this moment is to help support your change in perspective around what it is that you want out of life. There is a heavy emphasis on self-worth and what it is that you feel to be abundant. You may have just come out of a season of hard lessons and are looking to feel better from it. And you're supported to do that in this moment, but you kind of have to know where you're going before you make the move. So if you don't know, now is the perfect time to figure it out. The feelings you are feeling in this moment are meant to explore your inner world and the way you feel about yourself. What do you consider to be abundant? As Jupiter enters Cancer, you have many opportunities to create experiences that help you recover. But again, you have to understand what that looks like for yourself. So my advice is to concentrate on the triggers that you feel in this moment and try to understand why you feel them, because your solutions are layered into the feelings that you are feeling in this moment. On June 11th, Venus will be sextile to Mercury in Cancer in your 5th house. Venus is in your 3rd house, so you may find yourself changing your perspective and trying to take strides towards things that bring you more pleasure and fun. You could be changing your thought process around dating, entertainment, entrepreneurship, or even your intimate life. You are supported in this moment to take a deeper dive into this energy. With Pluto sitting in your 12th house, you may find yourself presented with an opportunity to go for something you dreamed of, something you fantasized about. But be careful of impulsive actions around what you consider to be valuable or abundant. Follow your intuitive urges with concentration on consideration instead of action, because impulsive and quick movements in this moment are not supported. On July 4th, Venus will meet Uranus in the 29th degree of Taurus in your 3rd house. So you may see a sudden change or surprise around your logic, communication. You might even see something online. And with Pluto sitting in your 12th house, this represents a change in your overall desires and what you consider to be luxurious. All of the outer planets are shifting into different signs, so everyone is experiencing some sort of chapter close and the beginning of a new chapter or a new era in their life. So this Venus in Taurus, Uranus in Taurus final shebang in the 29th degree of Taurus is something that is going to catapult us into the next chapter. Venus will be moving into Gemini later in the day on July 4th, and Uranus will be moving into Gemini on July 7th. So the energy that you see pop up in this moment is energy to kind of help you push forward in this process. Overall, if you're making the steps to go towards your highest and greatest good and your intentions are for forward movement, this should be pretty abundant for you. It should feel okay. It should feel good, right? Venus rules over Taurus. But if you are holding on to stale energy or things that feel chaotic and don't bring peace to you, okay, this might be a little jarring for you because, you know, these surprises are things that are going to help remove that stale energy from your life. So hopefully you're making the right choices for yourself and you are voluntarily removing these things from your life instead of, you know, having our guides remove them for you, because that does not feel good. Life is about choices. I hope you're making the right one.